part of it in Crawford County. Milltown was first known as Leavenworth Mills. It was platted by Seth and Zebulon Leavenworth at Fredonia in Crawford County in 1827. The name Milltown came from the Leavenworth brothers, where they built their mill at the site on Blue River. This was a flour mill, sawmill, and carding mill. Entrepreneur Libius Frisbee actually built and operated a toll bridge across Blue River at one time. The old wooden dam has been replaced by a modern concrete dam. Extensive deposits of limestone were mined, and lime was burned and shipped to market. The biggest industry in Milltown today is Cave Country Canoes, which offers canoe and kayak trips along Blue River. Here we are in our next railroad town, DePaul, Indiana. The Southern Railroad line runs right through the heart of DePaul. The northern part is in Blue River Township and the southern part in Spencer Township. Of course, the railroad was the center activity for DePaul. Logs and ties for the railroads through DePaul were hauled to this point by ox teams from surrounding farms. The town desperately needed a train depot, but the railroad refused to build one. Philanthropist Washington C. DePaul, one of the wealthiest men in Indiana who had made his money in the plate glass industry, came to the rescue and said if they would name the depot after him, he would donate funds to build it. Thanks to his support, the depot was built and DePaul was born. Our next railroad town, as we moved down the tracks, was known as Fairdale, although the post office was known by the name Barron. When the railroad came through, both Fairdale and Jackson City, later known as Ramsey, wanted the railroad station to be built in their town. Fairdale presented the argument that the Barron post office was already located in their town. Jackson City contended they should get the station because the railroad provision house had already been located in Jackson City. Jackson City won out, and the Barron post office was moved just north of the railroad tracks in section 23. This early post office continued under the name Barron until the post office's name was changed to Ramsey on March 25, 1884. In 1870, a company had been formed to build a railroad from Louisville to St. Louis via Huntingburg. This company went bankrupt in 1874, but by 1881, a new company was able to complete the road, in part to a donation of sufficient railroad ties furnished by Judge Samuel Ramsey to build the railroad line all the way from Mott to Milltown. The railroad company finally agreed to locate the station at Jackson City, now Ramsey, if the people of the community would build the necessary freight platform, to which they readily agreed. The platform was completed, and Howard C. Ramsey, son of Judge Samuel Ramsey, was made station agent, a position he held for 9 years. The station opened in 1882. Ramsey was also known as the chicken capital of the world because many baby chicks were shipped out here every day from local hatcheries all across the country. Our next railroad town is known as Corydon Junction. Corydon Junction is served by 2 railroads, and the southern and the branch line that comes up from Corydon, hence its name, Corydon Junction. Due to its location at the junction of these 2 railroads, 2 thriving hotels, Easterlings on the north and Heisers on the south, served travelers for many years. The village at the railroad depot, where the Corydon and New Albany Railroad diverges from the airline, was divided into 2 parts. The northern part of Corydon Junction was called Gresham, in honor of Walter Q. Gresham, Lanesville native who went on to become Secretary of State under President Grover Cleveland. The part south of the railroad track was called O'Bannon, in honor of Lou O'Bannon, local politician and newspaperman who operated the Corydon Democrat. Both Gresham and O'Bannon were small places, and the names Gresham and O'Bannon as town names are virtually unknown. We're standing in another railroad town, Mott Town. It was founded in 1883 as Central City, but was renamed as Mott at a later time. The land where the town stands was purchased from the government by the heirs of Jesse DeWeese on April 29, 1868. Mott was founded when it was platted by George A. Crosby on May 12, 1883. The town had two streets, Franklin and Railroad Avenue, running east and west, and two streets, Main and Market Streets, running north and south. Mott Town is named for the Mott family, early landowners, entrepreneurs, and postmasters. The first lot was deeded to P.F. Mott for a store, with the back part used as a drugstore, by Dr. William La Follette and Robert Mott. The railroad was built through the town in 1881, with a depot constructed in 1884, which served as a telegraph station until Corydon Junction was laid out. When Isaac Gibson, station agent at Mott Town, died, the company closed the depot and Mott became a flag station. Modern history of the town we're in now, Crandall, another railroad town, begins with the coming of the Airline Railroad. Crandall was officially platted by Cornelius F. Crandall, a minister from Texas. It was originally known as Crandall Station. The new town had 4 streets: Main, Center, Denton, and Walnut. The Crandall Railroad Station was located 4 miles from the east Harrison County, Floyd County line. Thousands of baby chicks were shipped out via the railroad daily from Crandall. The Thornwood Poultry Yards and Hatchery, operated by the Sims family, built at Crandall in the 1920s, had one of the largest incubators in the world. On March 2nd, 1921, there was a tremendous fire in Crandall. George L. Hurst of Putnam County was convicted of the arson. He committed the crime to get out of a business trade he had made with Charles W. Ashworth. Hurst's wife did not want to move down to Harrison County. Hurst and his henchmen left many clues along the way, such as asking directions, making repairs, and having a flat tire changed. So they were captured. The destructive fire burned 11 buildings. The Crandall Branch Bank was held up in October 1957, April 1965, and June 1966. Each time, the bank robber was captured. Gaither's store was a fixture in downtown Crandall for many years. Pillington, our last railroad town in Harrison County, which has been long forgotten, was the town of Pillington. Pillington was a railroad station located between Lanesville and Georgetown on the Southern Railroad line between Louisville and St. Louis. It was closely tied to the Sims family that we talked about back when we were in Crandall. Proponents for a station at Pillington reported that 150 people would be supplied by the service provided at Pillington. The station at Pillington was located 40 feet from the train tracks on the south side. Pillington had a post office, which was established on January 24th, 1903. It was discontinued in 1908. Frank and George E. Sims of the Thornwood Hatchery, well-known hatcherymen in Harrison County, served as the Pillington postmaster.